Okay, this is section B of Lit B1. This is your second section, although there's nothing to stop you doing this one first and then going back to do section A if you so desire. You have 1 hour to do this and a choice of 2 questions. Okay, you need to answer one of these 2 questions using the 3 texts that you have not studied, not covered in section A. Okay. This question, and you can see by these 2 examples here, this question always asks you to write about one narrative method. In these 2 questions, those narrative methods are genre and the writer's use of names. Okay, so very specific. This narrative method, okay, genre, name, time, chronology, place, settings, beginnings, repetition, whatever it is, this narrative method that's named is the connection between all the text. There is no requirement in this paper to compare. Okay, I'm going to say that again. There is no requirement in this paper to compare the 3 remaining texts. In fact, it is really unhelpful to do so. I would advise you to consider writing 3 mini essays of 20 minutes each. Okay, so 20 minutes on the ways that Keats names his characters, 20 minutes on the ways that Cormac McCarthy names his characters, refers to his characters, and 20 minutes on the way that Coleridge names or refers to his characters. That's assuming that I've taken the other text for section A. So your 3 remaining texts, 3 mini essays of 20 minutes each, and then you will notice the other key word, really important word in section B. What you're being asked to write about that aspect of narrative is its significance. Its significance, okay, again, here's the other key word, to the narrative. So it's that idea of story coming back to us again. All right, what's being tested here then? AO1, again, your expression, fluency, shape of your argument. AO2, how is this method that's being named, genre, okay, or names, how is that being used to tell the story? Okay, and then AO3 is different interpretations. Now, if you write about 3 texts and how 3 texts use genre or names, you have already given 3 different interpretations. Okay, so I want you to consider that. Anything else is a bonus. You need to then consider the significance of those. Okay, that's what you're doing here. You're considering what's the significance of a particular interpretation or a particular use that you're going to pick out. And please range across the text using support, just as you've done in section A. So let's just talk through then one of these questions, and the one that when I've spoken to candidates they have struggled with or thought that they would find most difficult is 42. So I'm going to talk you through 42. A key choice writers make is how they name or refer to characters in their stories. Write about the significance of the choices writers have made in naming or referring to their characters in the 3 texts you have studied. So the first thing I would do is highlight the aspect of narrative. And here it's the naming or referring to characters. Okay, so that's what I'm going to bear in mind. I'm going to remember that these names or references always need to be clearly identified in relation to the overarching story. Okay, so anything that I say is going to be with what impact it has on the story, okay, or how it helps to construct the story. Let's just talk through a couple of ideas of the 4 texts that we've covered. For example, we haven't talked yet about Cormac McCarthy's The Road. Cormac McCarthy doesn't name his characters in The Road. That to me is one of the most significant things, okay? And there's that word again, significance. He chooses to refer to them only as man and boy. Okay, now you need to really then say, so what? So what that he only refers to them as man and boy? And I'm sure that you can come up with lots of arguments in your classes or individually as to the significance of why he refers to them in that way, that they are generic perhaps, that in this post-apocalyptic world there are no others and therefore they are singular, the man, the boy. Maybe you consider it to be an inversion of the Madonna and child, and therefore their familial relationship as the man and the son, and their father and son relationship is key. And you might discuss those, but always do so in relation to how that helps McCarthy tell his story. Okay, Gatsby lends itself perfectly to this. You've got all sorts of things, the naming of Gatsby, and how he reinvents himself. Jay Gatsby, Gats, he's Jimmy to his dad at the end of the novel. The Great Gatsby has connotations of the illusionist. In fact, with Gatsby, the hard thing is probably thinking about culling information and the content, and that's where selecting information in a brief plan for this essay is really useful. Okay, because you could write something about Daisy, about Jordan Baker, about Maya Wolfsheim. You could write about Owl Eyes, Klipspringer, the people who come to Gatsby's party, who are all animals, party animals, and the naming of them. Okay, there's so much you can take. You need to be really disciplined with yourself to refine it. Remember, you've got 20 minutes. Okay, a candidate who writes well and in depth about a couple of names and their significances to the narrative is doing so much better than somebody who writes very little depth about lots of characters. Okay, so we want the depth. Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner, again you've got referring to characters. Why is he the Ancient Mariner? Why is it the Wedding Guest? We've got the Polar Spirits, we've got the Hermit at the end of the poem. Okay, so you're thinking about the implications of that to the story, and that being a choice, a key choice, again, okay, that the writer, in this case Samuel Taylor Coleridge, has made in constructing his text, and you're trying to deconstruct, unpick what the significances of those choices are. Okay, right, so we've said about choice of question, we've said about planning, including keywords, we've said about referring to the text. I think the final thing is that for this unit, it really is there for you. There are no tricks. If you read the questions carefully and you answer the question that is on the page, okay, then you are hitting those assessment objectives. Good luck.